Important laws, criminal laws introduction. No civilized society can service justice without a good codified criminal law. The Indian Penal Code 1860 is the outcome of the Law Commission constituted in 1834 to codify and bring about a uniform criminal code in India. Since then, the Indian Penal Code has stood the test and has proved as an excellent masterpiece, but with shift of the emphasis in modern criminal jurisprudence from punitive aspects to reformative aspect, there is a need to bring considerable change in the code to match the aim of the contemporary society. The Indian criminal law basically consists of the Indian Penal Code 1860 and the Criminal Procedure Code 1973. The Indian Penal Code is more of a subjective nature, while the Criminal Procedure Code is that of adjective nature. All offence mentioned in the IPC is to be investigated, trial, and dealt as per the provision of the Criminal Procedure Code. The Indian Evidence Act 1872 further is a kind of the supportive law which help in ascertaining the fact during any criminal or judicial inquiry under Criminal Procedure Code. Questions. The Indian Penal Code was enacted 1859, 1740, 1860, 1973. And the right answer is C, 1860. The Indian Penal Code was codified by the House of Commons, the Governor General in Council, the First Law Commission of India, the Third Law Commission of India. And the answer is First Law Commission of India. Third, there is a shift in criminal jurisprudence from punitive to reformative, from reformative to punitive. C, no change from punitive to more stringent. And answer is from A, from punitive to reformative. The Indian Criminal Code contain of IPC and CRPC, IPC and evidence law, IPC and contract law, none of the above. And answer is A, IPC and CRPC. These are criminal law. 5. The Code of Criminal Procedure was enacted in the year of 1925, 1860, 1973, 1974, and answer is 1973. The Criminal Procedure Code is code of the adjective nature, declarative nature, subjective nature, and commercial nature, and answer is A, sub-adjective nature. The Indian Evidence Act 1872 help in departmental inquiry, judicial inquiry, police inquiry, none of above. And answer is judicial inquiry. The mental element in crime. Mental element in crime. Intention. Intention is the purpose or design with which an act is done. Proving intention means taking into account the probable effect of the person conduct. The burden of proving intention is lie upon the prosecution. PP. Motive. Like intention, motive is also the state of mind. Motive is something which helps a man in forming an intention. An act which is lawful does not become unlawful on account of motive which dictates mens rea. There can be no crime, large or small, without an evil mind, is a maxim which succinctly explains the doctrine of mens rea. The essence of an offence is the wrongful intention without which it cannot exist. It means guilty mind. According to the principle of English criminal law, a person with innocent mind cannot commit a crime. The Latin maxim goes, actus non facit rexam nisi mens sit rea. The intent and act must both occur to constitute the crime. Intent and act must both concur to constitute the crime. The doctrine of the mens rea is essential in every offence except in revenue case, public nonsense, criminal case in form of enforcing a civil right. There are only three conditions where the mens rea does not apply: revenue case, public nuisance, criminal case in form of the enforcing a civil right. Knowledge refer to concise awareness of the certain fact. It is awareness of the circumstances in which actor act, and it is also aware of its consequence. It is a state of mental realization. Every individual is bound to know, presume to know, and ought to know the natural and the probable consequence of this act. Mistake of law. Mistake or ignorance of the law is no excuse. No one can infringe the law of the land under the presumption that he was ignorant of the criminal law of the land. The maxim ignorantia juris non excusat, ignorance of the law excuse none, admit no exception. Thus, mistake is a point of law in crime cases in no defense. Mistake of fact. Under the penal code, the mistake be one of the fact and not of law. If a person intending to do a lawful act by mistake commit that which is unlawful, said not be guilty of the act. But if an act is unlawful in its very nature, mistake of fact cannot be claimed. In the case of theft, point to be remembered: criminal intention means acting without any good cause. Motive is a mental state that contribute toward the criminal intention. Mens rea means guilty mind. Knowledge of the fact is irrelevant if the act is forbidden. Mistake of law is no defense under criminal law. Actus reus is such result of his act or omission or commission which law seek to prevent. In criminal law, mistake of fact is a good defense under the section 76 of Indian Penal Code. Actus non facit nisi mansit rea means act does not itself constitute guilty unless done with guilty intent. Question: criminal intention is used as a synonym for mistake of fact, mistake of law, mens rea, none of above. And answer is C, mens rea. 9. Criminal intent means an act done without just cause, done with just cause, done under mistake of law, none of above. And answer is A, done without just cause. Criminal intention means an act done without just cause. 10. The burden of proving guilty intention lies upon the judge, upon the prosecution, upon the president, upon the bar council. And answer is B, upon the prosecution. Prosecution means PP. 11. Motive is a mental state that contribute toward knowledge, innocence, criminal intention, none of above. And answer is C, criminal intention. Motive is often confused with mens rea, culpable homicide, intention or actus reus. And answer is C, intention. Unlawful act done with good motive can be excused, is irrelevant cannot be excused, none of the above. And answer is C, cannot be excused. Mens rea means innocent, unlawful intention or guilty mind. And answer is D, guilty mind. A person with innocent mind can commit a crime, is ignorant of law, cannot commit a crime, none of the above. And answer is C, cannot commit a crime. Mens rea is a Greek magazine, Latin magazine, French magazine or English magazine. And answer is B, Latin magazine. Doctrine of mens rea is essential in public nuisance case, revenue case, environmental law case, none of above. And answer is none of above. If the act is forbidden, knowledge become essential, immaterial, supportive or doubtful. And answer is B, immaterial. Ignorance of law is excused, is not excused, is a good defense, is knowledge of the fact. And answer is B, is not excused. Mistaken of the law is defense in civil case, revenue case, criminal case or none of the above. And answer is none of the above. Mistaken of the fact is other than mens rea, intention, mistaken of law, a knowledge of the fact. And answer is C, mistaken of law. If an unlawful act is done under the mistake of fact, a person is guilty, person is not guilty, person has good defense, none of the above. And answer is the C, person has good defense. Ignorantia juris nos execute, ignorance of law not execute. Abatement and conspiracy, abetment and conspiracy. A person is said to be abet the doing of an act if he instigate any person to that act. Second, intentionally aid or by any act or illegal omission the doing of the act. It is interesting to note that the abetter stands convicted while the man accused is acquitted, but not in all the cases. In some cases both are equally liable. Section 107 of IPC explains the abatement. For example, a public officer is authorized by a warrant from a court of justice to apprehend J, B, knowing that fact and also that C is not the Z, willfully represent to A that C is Z and thereby intentionally cause A to apprehend C. Here B abet to instigate the apprehension of the C. Further, abetter is the person who, according to section 108, abet the commission of the offence or the commission of an act which would be an offence. Situation is not changed even if the act is committed outside of India. Section 108A. Criminal conspiracy. Criminal conspiracy. It is a criminal conspiracy. It is a substantive offence. According to the section 120A, when two or more persons agree to do an illegal act or an act which is not illegal by illegal means commit an act of conspiracy, it is not important that the conspirators must have known each other. A single person can be tried and convicted for the offense. Section 120B provided for the punishment of the criminal conspiracy ranging from 6 months to the 2 years or more. The punishment is rigorous if the conspiracy involved a serious offense. Conspiracy has treated as a continuing offense. Points to remember. Abatement means instigating or conspiring or intentionally aiding the doing of an act. Section 107. An abater is a person who abates. Section 108. It is an offense if abatement is for any act beyond India. Section 108A. Conspiracy is treated as a continuing offense. Punishment for the criminal conspiracy is provided in Section 120B. Mere agreement to do an illegal act or an act by illegal means is conspiracy. Questions 25. A person is said to have abated an act if he A. writes about it, B. see a murder of a person, C. take part in any conspiracy, D. none of the above. And answer of 25 is C. take part in any conspiracy. 26. An abater is a person who arrests the culprit, B. who prosecutes, C. who helps in the commission of an offense, D. who commit a murder. And answer of 26 is C. who help in the commission of an offense. 27. Section 107 IPC explain who is conspirator, culpable homicide, bail or abatement. And the right answer of 27 is D. abatement. Criminal conspiracy is a subjective offense, bailable offense, non-bailable offense, substantive offense. And the answer of 28 is D. substantive offense. 29. Section 120B provides for criminal conspiracy, B. abatement, C. punishment for abatement, D. punishment for conspiracy. And the answer of 29 is D. punishment for conspiracy. Next, offense affecting the human body. No offense can amount to murder unless it fall within the definition of culpable homicide, but many amount of culpable homicide without amounting to murder. The word homicide has been taken from the Latin homo plus side. Homo means man, side means to cut. Thus, homicide is a causing of death of a human being by a human being. It is of three kinds: excusable homicide, justified homicide, or unlawful homicide. Excusable homicide, justified homicide, and unlawful homicide. Offense such as murder, suicide, and the culpable homicide not amounting to murder and death by rash and negligent act may be classified as unlawful homicide. To prove that a person has caused death, committed murder, both the section 299 culpable homicide and section 300 murder has been corresponded. If the offense does not come within the meaning of the section 300 means murder, then it shall amount to culpable homicide not amounting to murder. If the offense is proved under section 300 murder, then the person is prosecuted under section 302 and can be punished with the death or life imprisonment. Whereas if proved under section 299 culpable homicide, then the punishment is under section 304. There are certain exceptions to the offense of murder. Culpable homicide is not murder if done under the provocation, in private defense, by a public servant, or a sudden fight, or with the consent of the deceased dead person. Suicide. Committing suicide simply means ending one's own life. Section 309 IPC provides for the punishment for attempting suicide. Points to remember. Homicides means homo plus sides means death of a human being by a human being. Section 299 define culpable homicide, while section 300 define murder. Punishment for culpable homicide not amounting to murder is under section 304, while the murder is prosecuted under section 302. Section 309 explain attempt to suicide. Question based on this. Question number 31. Homicide means death of a human being caused A. by a motor vehicle, B. by a human being, C. by some kind of animal, D. none of the above. And answer of this question is B. by a human being. Section 299 IPC provides for A. murder, B. theft, C. suicide, D. culpable homicide. And the answer of 32 is D. culpable homicide. 33. No offense can amount to murder unless it fall within the definition of culpable homicide, but may amount to A. culpable homicide amounting to murder, B. suicide, C. culpable homicide not amounting to murder, D. none of the above. And answer of 33 is C. culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Question number 34. Homicides means A. justify homicide, B. unlawful homicide, C. both A and B, and D. none of the above. And answer of 34 is C. both justify homicide and unlawful homicide. Question number 35. The offense of murder is defined in A. section 298, section 299, section 302 and section 300. And the answer of 35 is D. section 300. Section 302 relate to punishment for theft, B. suicide, C. punishment for culpable homicide, D. punishment for murder. And answer of 36 is D. punishment for murder. 37. Question number 37. Punishment for culpable homicide is in A. section 299, B. section 301, C. section 304, D. section 305. And the answer of 37 is C. section 304. Question number 38. Culpable homicide is not murder if done under A. frustration, B. good intention, C. grave and sudden provocation, D. none of the above. And the answer of 38 is C. grave and sudden provocation. Question number 39. Section 309 IPC provides for the punishment for attempting A. culpable murder, D. suicide. And the answer of 39 is D. suicide. 40. According to the recent Supreme Court judgment, right, A. Right to food, to speech, and answer element. It is supported also by actus reus, criminal act of a person accused. It is not important that death must have occurred. Simply attempt 9. Section 309 IPC provides for the punishment for attempting A. Culpable homicide, B. Extortion, C. Murder, D. Suicide. And the answer of 39 is D. Suicide. 40. According to the recent Supreme Court judgment, right to life include A. Right to food, B. Right to work, C. Right to shelter, D. Right to speech. And answer of the question number 40 is C. Right to shelter. Next, criminal attempt. It is an intentionally preparatory action which fail in its object. Attempt to murder has been defined under section 307, while mens rea, mental element, is essential element. It is supported also by actus reus, criminal act of a person accused. It is not important that death must have occurred. Simply attempting to do act is sufficient to bring an offence within the meaning of this section. Section 308 define attempt to commit culpable homicide. Points to remember. Attempt is a intentional preparatory action. Next, section 307 define attempt to murder. Next, attempt to murder constitute both mens rea and actus rea. Next, attempt to culpable homicide is defined in section 308. Question on the base of the criminal attempt. 41. Attempt. A. Intentional beating. B. Conspiracy. C. Intentional preparatory action. D. None of the above. And the answer of 41 is C. Intentional preparatory action. Question number 42. Section 307 provides as to what is A. Attempt to suicide, B. Attempt to culpable homicide, C. Attempt to murder, D. Attempt to criminal breach of trust. And the answer of 42 is C. Attempt to murder. Question number 43. The essential element in attempts to murder are A. Actus reus, B. Mens rea, C. Both A and B, D. None of the above. And the answer of 43 is C. Both actus reus and mens rea. Question number 44. Attempt to culpable homicide is led in. Attempt to culpable homicide is led in A. Section 306, B. Section 307, C. Section 308, D. Section 309. And the answer of the question number 44 is C. Section 308. Next, theft and extortion. A person is said to commit theft who, with the intention of taking dishonestly any movable property of the owner possession, takes that property without his consent. This is defined in section 378. Punishment for the theft is given under the section 379. It is interesting to note that even if the things is removed temporarily with dishonest intention is amount to theft. Extortion. Extortion means intentionally putting a person in fear of injury to that person or to any other person, and thereby dishonestly inducing the person put in fear to deliver of any person any valuable, movable or immovable property. It is laid down in section 383. While robbery is a aggravated form of the theft or extortion. Extortion means intentionally putting a person in fear of injury to that person or to any other person, that thereby dishonestly inducing the person put in fear to deliver to any person any valuable, movable or immovable property. It is laid down in section 383, while robbery is a aggravated form of the theft or extortion. Points to remember. Theft is taking away of a thing with dishonest intention without owner's consent. Section 379. Next, even temporary taking constitute theft. Next, extortion is disobeying a person of his property by putting him under fear. Section 383. Robbery is a aggrieved form of the theft and extortion. Question 48. Question on the base of this portion, and the question number 45. Section 379 related to A. Theft, B. Extortion, C. Robbery, D. Dacoity, and the answer is 45 is A. Theft. Question number 46. If theft, removal of property is A. If the things is removed temporarily, B. Without owner consent, C. Without police consent, D. None of the above, and the answer of 46 is B. Without owner consent. Question number 47. Even if the thing is removed temporarily with dishonest intention is amount to A. No offense, B. Robbery, C. Theft, D. None of the above, and the answer of 47 is C. Theft. Question number 48. Extortion means taking of a person property by putting him under A. A contract, B. Good humor, C. Fear, D. Humiliation, and the answer of 40D is C. Fear. Question number 49. Extortion is for A. Movable property, B. Immovable property, C. Both movable and immovable property, D. None of the above, and answer of 49 is C. Both A and B. Means movable property and immovable property is called extortion. Next, 50. Question number 50. Section 383 provides for A. Theft, B. Murder, C. Extortion, and D. Dacoity, and the answer of is question number 50 is C. Extortion. 383 is for extortion. Question number 51. Robbery is aggravated form of A. Rioting, B. Theft, C. Extortion, D. Both B and C, and the answer of 51 is D. Both B and C, theft and extortion. Next, the law of the tort. First, nature. An act twisted, crooked, which is not straight and lawful, is tort. The word tort is derived from the Latin word tortum, meaning twist. Tort is such a wrongful act whereby the wrongdoer commit the breach of a legal right vested in some individual. Though tort is a civil wrong, but all civil wrong are not tort. Only those civil wrong which do not fit in any defined category of the civil work are tort. In tort, damages are unliquidated. The torts damages are unliquidated. Unliquidated. It has been defined by the Salmond as a civil wrong for which the remedy is common. Remedies is a common law action for unliquidated damage and which is not exclusively the breach of the contract or a breach of trust, other merely equitable obligation. The basic principle behind this is ubi jus ibi remedium, means where there is a right, there is a remedy. Thus we can say that a tort is a civil wrong. B. Tort is not breach of contract, obligation or obligation under trust. C. Thus we can say that tort is a civil wrong. B. Tort is not breach of contract, obligation or obligation under the trust. C. In tort claim is for unliquidated damage. Danum sine injuria. Danum sine injuria. It is kind of legal damage. It is kind of legal damage, meaning a man may have suffered damage, but if there is no infringement of the right, then no action arise. It's called danum sine injuria. And next is injuria sine danum. Injuria sine danum. It means though there is a infringement of the right, but no damage have been suffered. Thus, where there is no damage done, yet it is injury or wrong, is tort. Points to remember. Tort is a Latin word which means wrong. It is derived from the Latin word tortum, which means twisted. Basic principle is ubi jus ibi remedium. Ubi jus ibi remedium means where there is a right, there is a remedy. General condition of tortious liability are wrongful act cause legal damage and its give right to the legal remedy. Unliquidated damage is one which is not pre-estimated. Damage means loss. Danum sine injuria means suffer damage without any legal injury. Injuria sine danum means legal injury has been suffered though no damage caused. Question based on this portion. Question number 52. The term torts has been derived from tortum means A. Broken, B. High, C. Twisted, C. D. Wrong. And the answer is C. Twisted. Answer of 52 is twisted. Question number 53. Tortum is A. German words, B. French word, C. Latin word, D. None of the above. And the answer of 53 is C. Latin word. Question number 54. Tort is a civil wrong as opposed to A. Criminal law, B. Company law, C. Civil procedure code, D. Criminal wrong. And the answer is D. Criminal wrong. Question number 55. The term ubi jus ibi remedium means A. What is wrong is wrong. B. One who commit offense should not be protected. C. Where there is right, there is a remedy. D. None of the above. And the answer of question number 55 is C. Where there is a right, there is a remedy. Question number 56. General condition of tortious liability is A. Wrongful act. B. Act causing legal damage. C. It gives a right to legal remedy. D. All of the above. And the answer of the question number 56 is D. All the above. General condition of tortious liability is wrongful act causing legal damage. It gives right to the legal remedy. Question number 57. Denham sign injuria stand for A. Injury without damage. B. Damage without injury. C. Actionable claim. D. Both B and C. And the answer of the question number 57 is B. Damage without injury. Question number 58. Injuria sign Denham means A. Causing accident. B. Injury without damage. C. Wrongful act. D. None of the above. And the answer of 58 is D. Injury without damage. Question number 59. In tort, there is a claim for A. Liquidated damage. B. Unliquidated damage. C. Criminal punishment. D. Judicial review. And the answer of the question number 59 is B. Unliquidated damage. Next, general defense. General defense. There are certain defenses provided against the tortious liability. There are voleni non fit injuria. Voleni non fit injuria. Voleni non fit injuria means that no man can enforce a right which he has voluntarily waived or abandoned. The consent may be expressed by the word or implied by conduct, which consent must be free. But consent must be free. Ex trupi causa arbiter non exia. Ex trupi causa oritor non exia means that no action arises if the act is unlawful. Points to remember. There are defense against tortious liability. Important defense is voluntarily non-fit injuria means voluntarily suffering harm. It apply to different cases. Rescue cases, inevitable accident, act of God, mistake, etc. Further, another assumption is ex trupia causa oritor non exia, meaning no action arises if the act is unlawful. Question based on this portion. 60. Voluntary non-fit injuria means A. It constitutes illegal injury. B. It is actionable. C. Harm suffered voluntarily. D. It is not free from knowledge and free will. And the answer of the question number 60 is C. Harm suffered voluntarily. Essential element of voluntary non-fit injuria. Voluntary non-fit injuria is criminal assault. B. Consent of a person. Harm. C. Unwillingness of to get hurt. D. Both A and B. And the answer of question number 61 is B. Consent of the person harmed. Question number 62. The defense of the voluntarily non-fit injuria is available in A. Rescue case. B. Mistaken case. C. Act of God. D. All of the above. And the answer of the 62 is D. All of the above. Rescue case, mistake, act of God. Question number 63. A person consenting to harm A. Can sue B. Highly respected. C. Claim damage. D. Cannot sue. And the answer of the 63 is D. Cannot sue. Question number 64. Ex trupi causa arbori non exia means ex trupi causa oritor non exio means a action arise if the act is unlawful. B. No action arise if the law act is unlawful. C. Action arise if not involved directly. D. The action arise if involved directly. And the answer of the 64 is B. No action arise if the act is unlawful. Question number 65. Consent may be A. Express consent by word. B. Inferior from conduct. C. Both A and B. D. None of the above. And the answer of the 65 is C. Both of the above. Express consent by words. Inferred from conduct. Question number 66. 66. General defense are in favor of A. Plaintiff. B. Defendant. C. Government. D. Pleader. And the answer of the 66 is B. Defendant. Question number 67. Act of God is A. Actionable claim. B. A good defense. C. Both A and B. D. None of the above. And the answer of the 67 is B. None. Both of the A and B. Actionable claim and a good defense. Question number 68. Person accused of committing tort is rescue case. A. Cannot take a defense of the voluntary non-fit injuria. B. Can take the defense of the voluntary non-fit injuria. C. It is rewarded handsomely. D. None of the above. And the answer of the 68 is A. Cannot take the defense of voluntarily non-fit injuria. Vicarious liability. The general rule is that a person is liable for his own act and cannot be made liable for the act done by others. But in torts, it happened that others are held liable for the act of other because the certain relationship between them. It is known as a vicarious liability. The person is held liable for the act of others. It arises namely in reference to the following relationship. A. Principal liability for the wrong of the agent. B. Liability of one's partner for the wrong of the other partner. C. Master liability for the wrong of his servant. Cui facita per elimum facita per se. Cui facit per elinema elim facit per se. Cui facit per elim facit per se. It means he who acts through another person is acting for himself. Principal and agent, master and servant of the partner. Respondent superior. The general principle means that let the principal be liable. Liability of the state. Article 300 of the Constitution provides that the union as well as the state government are justice person and can be sued in their respective name. Thus, the position appears similar to pre-Independence Day, that of the state being liable for its servant act done while performing non-state function or duty. But no liability arises in case where the action arises due to the performance of state duty or function. Point to be remembered. Vicarious liability means responsible for the act of other. It is especially seen in relationship between master servant, principal agent, between the partners. Quasi facit per elinum facit per se means the who act through another person act for himself. Respondent superior means let the principal be responsible for or liable. Article 300 of Indian Constitution provides that the state can sue in the name and in its name. State perform both sovereign as well as the non-sovereign function. It can be held responsible for the sovereign function. Question based on this article. 69. Vicariously liable means responsible for the act of another. B. Responsible for the one's own act. C. Not responsible for the act of another. D. None of the above. And the answer of the question number 69 is A. Responsible for the act of another. Question number 70. A master is vicariously liable for his agent. B. Servant. D. C. Partner. Both of above. B and C. And the answer of the 70 is B. Servant. Quasi. Next question 71. Quasi facit per elim facit per se means to act independently. B. He who act through another act for himself. C. Let the principal be liable. D. Both B and C. And the answer of the 71 is B. He who act through another act for himself. Question number 72. Respondent superior. A. Let the agent be responsible. B. Let the principal be responsible. C. Let the police be responsible. D. Let the partner be responsible. And the answer of this is B. Let the principal be responsible. Question number 73. The state can be sue or can sue in its own name. This has been laid down in A. Article 32. B. Article 205. C. Article 299 and D. Article 300. And answer of the question number 73 is D. Article 300. Question number 74. State function consists of a sovereign function. B. Non-sovereign function. And C. Both A and B. Sovereign and non-sovereign function. And D. None of the above. And the answer of the question number 74 is C. Both the above. Sovereign function and non-sovereign function. Question number 75. There is no liability on the part of the state while it is performing A. Non-sovereign function. B. Sovereign function. C. Law and order function. D. Both A and B. So answer of the question number 75 is B. Sovereign function. Question number 76. The master is responsible for his servant act done. A. Out of course of employment. B. During the course of employment. C. While doing household work. D. Both C and D. And the answer of the 76 is B. During the course of employment. Question number 77. For the purpose of the Article 300 of the Indian Constitution, the state is A. Non-juristic person. B. Juristic persons. C. Both B and C. A and B. D. None of the above. And the answer of the question number 77 is B. Juristic person. Next is defamation. Defamation